So after realizing my true nature, after my conversation with David Bingham, there was a lot of wanting to be at home, wanting to be just in silence, sitting. There were times when my son is here with me, and then there's times when it's just me. And for the most part, it just being me is satisfying and content and peaceful. And then there would be moments when the inspiration would come to get out into the world and to participate more in life outside of this house, and to socialize and to have relationships. And when that started happening after realization, because the person, Jessica, is someone who's introverted or was used to having anxiety and fear about participating, and judgments about what it means to participate in life. I saw that inspiration. I consented to invitations that the desire to participate in life when it's not required of you. It must be like lingering residue of identifying with the separate self. And so I would just sit and continue to sit in my house alone and think, okay, this needs to be released. These desires to get out there and to have a life, or to change anything about life, has to be coming from, fear or something, because I should be able to be content with things being the same forever. And it, I participated in that, consented to that roller coaster for quite a little while. And finally one night, I called my brother, and I was very upset. And I said, I don't know why this is still happening. There's still suffering going on, and there's still desires to get out there and meet people and travel and have some kind of life that's different than just staying inside. And why can't I just sit in bliss forever, unless I'm called upon to do something? And he sat quiet for a little while, and then he said, it sounds like you've let non-duality become a belief system. So you've learned so much about it, you understand it completely to where it's now concepts that you believe in. And so you're using that, you're consenting to these ideas that things should or shouldn't be a certain way. And one of those beliefs is you shouldn't want to change anything ever. And then he said, it's important to just be really honest. Just because you had some kind of clarity and blissful moment yesterday, or whenever, a clear seeing doesn't mean that that's what's arising right now. And you just have to be really honest with what's arising in every moment. And that was the exact pointing that I needed at the time. And I remember speaking to David Bingham around that time too. And I know that he had also said, David, the personality is an introvert. And so I asked him about being invited to be on Conscious TV. And was he nervous for that? And because this was after his awakening. And he said that, it felt as though that David might pass out. So the sensations of nerves were still there. And that seemed to be important for me to hear at that time too, because there was an expectation that after realization, those old feelings, the effortlessness would be just bliss all the time. Like things would poof, things would fall into place without invitations. And so even though David, had this experience, like the body might pass out, he did the interviews. And so it's not, that the experience changes very much from a what's arising standpoint, but it's like, I don't know, the inspiration, you tend to pay more attention to the inspiration, and I think it just becomes clearer that the sensations arising, even if they're anxiety, even if they're fear-based, the more you see your true nature, the less you are concerned with that happening. You're not identifying as the person experiencing those things. And so you can just act on those moments of inspiration instead of thinking, these are things that need to be released before I can act. And I also thought that effortlessness meant that I would be getting phone calls to participate in life. That people would be, ringing my doorbell to get outside and go for walks. And that wasn't the experience. And the inspiration I had to act on, and it still felt like effort. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say. All I know is that this wanted to be shared today, and that these stories helped me at a point in time. And I'm not going to try to tie it all together in a nice bow. I like to try to do that, but it doesn't always happen. This is what wanted to be shared. And I will tell you that in this experience, the more I get myself out and participate, even though it feels like effort, even though it contradicts what I know to be true, that, this is all oneness and we don't need anything, even though there's like this intellectual, like, wait, does this make sense? Like I thought, if this is all oneness, why do we need to even speak at all? What's the point of having relationships? Like, all I know is that this is still here. You almost expect it not to be, but it's still here and it's still happening, and it's okay to participate in it. And it's okay if what's arising in this moment feels like, regular old duality or whatever you want to call it. That's all okay. And it just seems like the more I participate and have fun and enjoy life, the more deepening integration, whatever you want to call it, it just seems to get better, or it just, I don't know, it's more enjoyable. So that's it. And I hope this helps someone. All right, bye.